Yes, people, welcome back to the Big Steve Show. What a weekend. What a performance. Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1. Arsenal dropped points. Liverpool dropped points. Man United got the win. That's what we wanted last minute. Keep them in a job. So overall, it was a great weekend. I hope everyone enjoyed it. But Huey, there's only one man we can talk about this weekend. Jeremy Doku. What do you think about that? Some performance, yeah?
Yeah. What a game, man. What a game it was. You know what I mean? Like, Pep was asked about it after the game. Imagine scoring 6 goals and neither Haaland or Alvarez being one of them. That's quite a thing, you know what I mean? With both of those being so prolific over the last, or since they both signed, really, they've hit the ground running. And to score 6 and to have your newest recruit, young Jeremy Doku, you know what I mean, come from France, take to the Premier League the way he has. I think if we're being not hypercritical, but honest, it's not even a criticism of him, I suppose. It's more, he's still got so much more to go, Jeremy Doku. Do you know what I mean? He's actually still got a lot more refining and work to do in his game, but you can't argue with the kid's output. What was it? A goal and 4 assists or something like that? Like, people are obviously on Grealish's back a lot over the last year for his lack of exactly that. So they're going to jump to Jeremy Doku and be like, well, he's the guy now. Whereas you can easily forget that Grealish was class last week in Old Trafford and he was very good against young boys as well midweek. But in terms of looking at Doku and Grealish now, in my opinion, Steve, we have 2 elite left-wing options. And you can argue for Doku, he's also a right-wing option as well. We have 2 fantastic left-wing options who offer entirely different things. You look at the style of game we were up against in Old Trafford, where ball control was going to be absolutely everything. It wasn't at the beginning, the game plan wouldn't have been to go gung-ho and try and, just blitz United immediately. It was kill them with possession, kill them with speed and intensity, and that's what Grealish was great at. With a game like Bournemouth, a game like, there's another one recently where he was great, maybe it's Brighton, Doku, those games where City go, boom, we're going to go out and just hit you with speed and power and pace. Doku in behind, Doku rinsing James Milner against Brighton, Doku taking the piss out of the Bournemouth defence. Those games Doku will be huge in. They can both play huge roles in both games. But as a City fan, it's just really exciting to see Doku. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll remember fondly, plenty of you in the chat will remember the Sane and Sterling kind of era. Those players, they had similar tendencies, get in behind, take on defenders, that exciting football. So, listen, Doku's the man right now, isn't he? It's his weekend. He stole the show.
Yeah, fair play to him as well. He comes to a new league. He's probably come to a Manchester City team. A lot of pressure, champions of Europe, treble winners. And he's come in and just decided he's going to do what he knows best. And interesting to see Pep talk about him, saying that he listens to what the coaches are telling him. He's picking things up really, really quickly. And he's a very, very raw diamond at the minute. He's not even polished. And I think when Pep Guardiola has a full season with him and he gets proper into it, I think we're going to have some player. I mean, the start is fantastic. We've said it before. He's exactly what the fans want. Every time he picks the ball up, you sort of go to the edge of your seat because you're waiting for something to happen. But no, we've got two fantastic options on that side. Grealish, like you said, against Young Boys and against Man United was brilliant. And it's just a breath of fresh air to have them options, because with Grealish, we've got the control, we've got the calmness, we've got probably the little bit of dark arts in late in games where he can get the fouls, win the fouls, keep the ball up the pitch, keep it moving. And Jeremy, on the other hand, at home, he seems to be letting him off the lead because he's like, go for it. But late in games, if you need something, a bit of a spark, bring in DOKU 80 minutes, 75 minutes. Teams ain't going to be want to see him coming off the bench. Do you know what I mean? Look at Anthony at Old Trafford. He just booted him out of pure frustration after 5 minutes because he was just taking the piss. So, I mean,
what it is, though, like when you look at the treble winning team last year, as fantastic as they were, you can still always improve slightly. You can still always add things to your artillery. And there was a couple of games last season where, you'd have Grealish playing, or you'd have whoever playing, Nottingham Forest away, Tottenham away, just off the top of my head. There's a couple where it just felt like we didn't have another option. We didn't have a plan B. We did. If what we were doing originally wasn't working, it was kind of it. We were a bit goosed. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't going to happen for us. So obviously over the summer, Pep said, Grealish still a massive part of the team, and he's still going to have massive roles in big games. But to have that other striking option who'll, totally catch, you can't prepare for it. Do you know what I mean? If you're planning for your week building up to Manchester City at home or away, you don't know what to do now. Do you prepare for Jack Grealish, who's going to keep the ball moving? He's going to win you fouls. He's going to do the ball retention. He's going to have fantastic stats on that front, and just complement our overall play? Or do you prepare for the electric, scary winger who's going to absolutely take on your fullback head to head and get him behind and create chances for Erling Haaland? They're totally different prospects that create totally different issues for teams to deal with. So it's made us now far less predictable, far more worrying, and far harder to prepare for. So I think, if you're Chelsea next Sunday and you're Pochettino, I know they're going to play tonight, but if you're preparing for Man City, what do you do? What do you tell whoever the fullback is, Reece James, on that side? Do you get ready? Do you do your analysis and your video preparing for a Jack Grealish type player? Or do you say, listen, you're going to have to do a lot of defending because Jeremy Doku is going to be your problem? You don't know, but it's a great headache for Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have another option when De Bruyne gets back as well. De Bruyne putting that ball behind for Jeremy to run onto is something I think we haven't seen yet. We've seen Jeremy pick the ball up and go on his runs himself, but as far as putting the ball in behind and letting him get round the back, I think that's coming. And it was great to watch. You know what I mean? It was fantastic. We didn't want any drop in performance after the derby. We didn't want everyone to think, it's Bournemouth at home, take the foot off the gas. We didn't take the foot off the gas. You know what I mean? Some idiots like me, triple captained Erling Haaland. You know what I mean? Got 3 points. So I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? And then we look at people like Bernardo Silva, who I think so underrated. I mean, the performance at Old Trafford, magical. And then again, that second goal where he dinked it at the end, that was like something Messi would do. You know what I mean? He sold him a little drop of the shoulder and just dinked the keeper. And he's another player who's on fire at the minute. You know what I mean? He's absolutely enjoying his football. Every summer we get the Bernardo show. He wants to leave. His missus doesn't like it. All that nonsense. But I've never seen the guy play without a smile on his face. You know what I mean? What do you reckon to Bernardo's performance?
Bernardo, I tweeted straight after the game. I said he's such a silky player. And if I was to go into more detail, I think he's a Manchester City legend. And when he leaves, he will be. I think he's such a unique player, offers such a unique skill set. But he's just such a joy to watch. And you're right, like, having gone to matches for years and years now, as long as Bernardo's playing, he always wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? You always tell he loves being where he is. I don't know who is it in his household. Like you say, is it his missus trying to get him out of Manchester? Is it his dog that doesn't like the rain or the cold in Manchester? I don't know. But I can say confidently with my chest that Bernardo Silva absolutely loves Manchester City. You know what I mean? You see him going to those places like Old Trafford. You see him going to Anfield. You see him Champions League performances last season. He's such a special player, and he's not someone. My opinion is he will go next summer. I think there's a clause in his contract that says he'll be allowed to leave for a relatively low fee next summer. But I think to even get this last season probably out of him was a fantastic thing, fantastic piece of work by Manchester City Football Club and by Pep Guardiola. And having Pep Guardiola is probably the reason we're able to do that. I think Pep Guardiola is the only manager in the world that can convince players as good as Bernardo Silva to stay, as good as Phil Foden. When everyone says you should go out on loan, Pep says, no, I've got a plan for you, trust me. As good as Erling Haaland, the hottest prospect striker in world football, come to Manchester City and play under me. So the progress and the relationship Bernardo has with Manchester City, it's a credit to the fans. I think we adore him, and I think he knows we adore him. It's a credit to Pep Guardiola for the way he's positionally moved him around different roles in the team, and allowed him to just express himself. And a credit to the board as well for how they've dealt with all the speculation. But on the weekend, he was fantastic, and he has really had a fantastic start to the season. It was Messi-esque, that finish you're talking about. You see when the ball went in or over the line, he ran off to celebrate. Nunez is stuck in the back of the net, and Bernardo was looking like, is it me? Is it me? I'm not quite sure who's going.
No, it was good. It's good to see. And speaking of Earl, he's picked up a knock. There's good news tonight coming out of the ground saying that he's been training today. So, do you think Pep will risk him tomorrow against Young Boys, or do you think he's going to leave him for Chelsea at weekend? I think we've got enough in the tank surely to beat Young Boys at home without him.
I was going to ask you the same thing. I think it's a tricky one. We've got the actual clip up on City Xtra now. We're able to get press conference content up on City Xtra. Well done to Freddie Pye for that. And I looked at it. I don't know. It's a real tricky one because with Pep Guardiola, you can kind of look at it and say he's the kind of manager who say, no, secure, knockout football, and Erling Haaland is needed to do that. Then you've got Chelsea on the weekend, but there's an international break after that where he'll get maybe a bit of a rest or more so than he would have playing day-to-day with City. I don't know. Personally, I don't think I would play him. I don't think I would. I think the Chelsea game is a bigger game than the Young Boys game, with all due respect to Young Boys. I think, like you kind of said, we have enough firepower to beat Young Boys at home. That's not me being disrespectful. I think you could play Alvarez in the 9 and stick with a similar midfield, and you'd be just fine without Erling Haaland. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think he might start Erling on the bench. I think, you know what I mean. I think Earl will be probably banging on his door saying I'm fine, but I think Pep will probably think, you know what, just see how we go. If we're doing well against Young Boys early doors, couple of goals up or something, probably going to rest him. But I mean, the team selection at weekend when it was announced, a lot of changes from the derby, and you're thinking to yourself, God, just getting that rhythm back, and he's changed it again, and then we go and score 6. It's mad, isn't it, at the minute? He must have every player in that squad is itching to play a game. You could even see the subs like Calvin Phillips and that got game time. Nunez, we don't know where Nunez's best position is. We don't know what he's going to bring to the team, but he's starting to get games. I think we're looking in good shape, mate. We've spoke about it before. January coming up. Do we need to strengthen? I think the only way we need to strengthen if we let anyone go. So if Calvin Phillips says, look, I'm not getting the game time, I want to leave, I can see someone coming in. But if Calvin stays, I don't see us bringing anyone in, especially with De Bruyne coming back. What do you think?
First of all, on the team thing, Pep said he thinks this is the best place, dressing room wise, the team has been in as long as he's been in Manchester City, or at least that he can remember for many, many years, is the exact quote. So there must be a really feel good factor around the dressing room right now that everyone's buying into. But the thing with Calvin, it was going to be a topic on the show that I want to speak to you about. He's getting a lot of attention. I've seen clubs like Juventus now, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. These clubs, their names are thrown around. I don't know the seriousness of their interest, but I mean, Pep kind of made a comment in his press conference the other day, which suggested that Calvin's minutes are going to continue to be limited. I think we've known this for a while. He said, he was asked about Calvin, and Pep said something like, Rodri is a really important player for us. We know this. But, you know, you kind of read between the lines. You know what he's saying there. He's basically saying, Rodri's always going to play first choice. But with Saturday, it was good to see Calvin come on. Don't think he did badly, but I don't know, did you notice it? But when you take John Stones off and Rodri off, the loss of control it's staggering. You know what I mean? The shape of the game changed a bit. Bournemouth, all of a sudden, they got their goal, they grew into it, they were controlling a bit more of the midfield. I think that's something that really ticks off Pep Guardiola. He doesn't like to see that happen. He doesn't like to see the opposition gaining any ground or territory, if you like. He wants total control all the time. And I don't think he thinks Calvin Phillips is capable of doing that. So probably going to go in January, I'd say, Calvin.
Yeah, it's mad some of the clubs that are linked with him. But listen, we forget, just because he's not getting a game at Manchester City, we're the best team in the world. So doesn't mean he ain't going to get a game anywhere else. He slots into a number of teams, even top 4 teams in the Premier League, easily for me. You know what I mean? Could you imagine Arsenal having a Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips double pivot? That's an England midfield. You know what I mean? That'd be quite a good midfield. You know what I mean? Newcastle, they've lost Tonali. They could make a move, get him in there. You never know. So I think Calvin's missus is just had a baby or she's due. So I don't think he's going to go abroad, in my opinion. But, City could may loan him out. Maybe just say, look, we'll give you go and freshen up somewhere. Maybe give him back to Leeds. I know it's a step down, but at least he'll be playing top of the Championship there, fighting for it. I just don't know with Calvin. I think he's that much of a nice lad. He don't rock the boat, never says anything bad to anyone. You don't really get him that he's unhappy or disgruntled. He probably is privately, but he just goes about his business. And, you see him at the end of games, and you look at someone like Laporte last season, end of games, coming over, he was a bit, you could tell he'd seen his ass. Calvin's just happy, gives his shirt away to the kids, claps. I do wish him well. He's one of life's good guys where you really wish him well, but,
I think people are harsh on him. I think people are very harsh on Calvin Phillips. I think people see that Pep doesn't trust him and paint him with a brush of just being a shit footballer immediately. Like I've come to my conclusion that he's not going to play for Manchester City long term. He probably doesn't have a long term place in the squad, but that's no embarrassment to not be good enough to play for Pep Guardiola. It's no embarrassment to not fit into our plans. It's no embarrassment to not make the grade. It right now is the best football team in the world with a really specific and unique style of play that won't suit absolutely everybody. I agree with you. I think Calvin Phillips could have a very good career in the top 4 of English football. It's all about where he is, what kind of team he's playing for, and what demands are put on him. If you watched him, I'm sure you did, during that the 2021 Euros where England got to the final, he was player of the year for England that year internationally. You don't get an award like that. You simply don't. I'm not even English, so I don't particularly care. But you don't get an award like that unless you have high qualities and you can really offer something to the team. And I remember watching clips and interviews from that England squad after the tournament and on who they thought were surprise packages that tournament in that year and who they thought were great. They all to a man said Calvin Phillips. The amount of praise he got, even for Leeds under Bielsa, fantastic. Sometimes in football, it just doesn't work out. It's just not meant to be. And that's just the relationship, I believe it is, between Phillips and Manchester City. But I want to reiterate, I don't think that warrants people going and say, Calvin Phillips is a shit footballer. He's washed. He can't play at the highest level. I think he can, and he will.
You look at the team against Bournemouth. Out goes Guardiola and Diaz. Out goes Grealish and Foden. Do you know what I mean? That is unbelievable when you think of that. You take them 4 players out of the team and you can freshen it up. He's got this rotation thing going now, which I like. I do like it. It looks like we've got Diaz and Guardiola fresh for the game. I do hope we go strong tomorrow night against Young Boys. Don't want to take the foot off the gas, but Chelsea at weekend, people expect us to go there and absolutely wipe the floor. I'll be interested to see Chelsea tonight against Tottenham because Stamford Bridge, even when Chelsea is shit, is not an easy place to go. Last season we went there. I think we won 1-0, didn't we? Mahrez. And it wasn't an easy game. You know what I mean? It wasn't an easy game. And if Chelsea are ever going to bounce back or make a statement, they're going to want to beat us, the champions. You know what I mean? But I think Pep's saving the big guns for that Chelsea game, mate. Like Ruben Diaz, it's good to give him a little break. You know what I mean? I think Pep now knows what teams, without disrespecting teams, he knows in his head what teams he can rest certain players against. Do you know what I mean? And I think we're in a good position for that. I mean, what do you reckon? Do you think tomorrow Guardiola's going to play and Ruben's going to come back in, or do you think he's with us being at home and Doku being on fire is going to keep him going at home, or what? I don't see Doku starting at Chelsea away for some reason. I just don't.
No, I think Grealish will start the game away to Chelsea. I think it is though what you're kind of talking about there. Certain games, Pep knows what player he needs to use for certain games for certain attributes, if that makes sense. Like we've gone over what Grealish offers versus what Doku offers. I think in those big six type games, you know, the high pressure games where everyone's watching and it might be a tougher prospect. That's when Grealish, I expect he'll start, at least start the game. Not saying he'll finish the game, but I think, you know, an hour of Grealish controlling the ball and that left side of the pitch, dominating play and winning fouls and frustrating the defense. I think that's where he will deploy Grealish more often than not, for now anyway. But in terms of tomorrow, I could see a similar team to what played against Bournemouth. Minus Kovacic started against Bournemouth, didn't he? I could see that. I could maybe see Mateus Nunes getting a start. Vardiol, I think, will start, but Ake will start against Chelsea, in my opinion. It's tough, but it's a good tough. Do you know what I mean? It's a good headache because I trust any of these players.
Do you think Ake starts against Chelsea, even though Guardiola started at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling. There's nothing, no reasoning behind it. There's no method or madness. It's just a genuine good feeling.
And the good thing is, though, the good thing is we're not asked, as City fans, we're not asked who starts because we know that they're all good players. So it's not like we're saying, oh, I hope Guardiola starts because he's so much better than Ake. It's not even about that. It's just that we know Nathan Ake is brilliant. We know Guardiola is brilliant. But Guardiola, for me, I just think, he's unbelievable. I just think he's unbelievable. And I think Pep's doing a great job with him, playing him at left back, bringing him in certain games, not letting him get too cocky, bringing him back out, giving him a rest, keeping him hunger. The hunger is where it's at with him, you know what I mean? And I think he's done a good job. Same with Jeremy. Listen, we've seen Pep Guardiola do this before. Erling Haaland's gone score 4 goals and then he might not play the next game, or somebody scores so many goals and you think he's definitely starting. Look, it wouldn't be surprised me if Doku doesn't start tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? That's just how mad it is, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, any team sheet that I see an hour before kickoff, I never really have any complaints. Do you know what I mean? I never really have any issues. I trust every single player. I'm happy to see Vardiol start. I think Vardiol's class, by the way. I really do. I think I think Ake's fantastic, but I think Vardiol might have slightly more to his game than Ake, more in his locker, just as a technical ability-wise type thing. I could see Vardiol as time goes on. I think I've said to you, evolving into a similar to the John Stones role. Do you know what I mean? Where he has the ability to move into the center of the pitch and invert and get involved in build-up play. And he's played as a striker before, Vardiol. Like, he's a well-rounded, technically gifted footballer, and that's why we pay big bucks for him. But yeah, with selection, I'm always happy with whatever, man. I'm really, I think as a squad, we're probably in the best place we've possibly ever been in terms of roundedness. You know, maybe minus Gundogan or Mahrez. You know, you can't replace them, but the squad's great, man. The squad's great. I think we'll win both games this week.
Bit of a funny story. Remember last week we were taking the piss out of Jadon Sancho for having a packed lunch in the car park and that.
Mate, I saw your Instagram story. Where'd you get the fruit shoot and the apple?
Mate, some guy came up to me in the south stand and he went, Steve, my missus has just made me a packed lunch for the game. And I said, oh yeah. And he went, look at this. And he opened his bag and inside it, he had a packed lunch and it said Jadon with the derby date on it, and it had a fruit shoot in it and a fucking apple. So his missus, obviously, they'd been watching the show, having a bit of a laugh. She'd done that in his packed lunch, mate. So that's why I put it on my Instagram. But yeah, it was funny, man. The amount of people that come up to me at the game and went, oh, you had me in stitches with Jadon Sancho with a fruit shoot and that. But fucking hell, it's the truth, man. It's the truth. He wasn't taking the piss. It's fucking true, innit? He's got to have his packed lunch.
Well, you look at the state of them now, mate. You've got Saeed and our good friends who support Man United saying things like Anthony is the worst signing since Sir Alex Ferguson left, type thing. Anthony this, Anthony that, and they've got fucking 100 million man or whatever he was, Jadon Sancho, as you say, drinking fruit shoots and eating apples in the car park. Like, it's.
Saeed was arguing with Goldbridge, wasn't it? He went for Goldbridge.
See that?
Yeah.
You know, man, you wouldn't get that in our ends, man. You wouldn't get that over here in the blue side. We don't beef with each other. Crazy.
Nah, man, I tell you, they're arguing with each other. Even what's he called? That guy on YouTube, TikTok, the Angry Ginge. Apparently, he's done a video and called me a B-Tech Guardiola when I was at the side of the pitch. So these young kids.
I've told you already, mate. You're not to take offense to that. That's a compliment,
mate. No, this is what I'm saying. I'm buzzing. You know what I mean? I'm getting called a B-Tech Guardiola stood on the pitch while he's a C-Tech Chesney from Coronation Street stood in the stand. So, you know what I mean? There's levels to this shit, mate. You know what I mean? He's saying, you know, he'd better not come for me. You know what I'm saying?
Was they say, man? Come for the
Nah,
king, you best not miss, man. Come for the king, you best not miss.
They're all rowing amongst each other. Goldbridge is rowing with them all.
See Goldbridge and Rashford. Goldbridge and Rashford.
Yeah. Mate, there's all sorts going on there. Rashford didn't sign autographs for any kids the other day.
He was out in the piss after the derby. He was out in the piss after the derby.
Yeah, it doesn't go down well.
Allegedly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, well, I don't know, man. It rubs fans up the wrong way. Imagine if we'd got walloped off United and then we found out one of the lads had gone straight on the piss. I mean, some of the older ones would probably say whatever, but I mean, it doesn't go down well, does it, when you're trying to pull together? And they are allowed to have a beer, but come on. You've got a mansion there. You could probably get a load of Jack the Rippers round and a load of ale. Nobody knows. Do what you want. You don't have to be mooching down Deansgate going to China Whites. You know what I mean? When you've just been slapped off City, Manchester is red and all that. It doesn't work like that, does it? You know what I mean? But
now you gotta pick and choose your moments, man. I'm all, even with the Kyle Walker thing, and you know when he got his knob out last year. I didn't condone that bit now. I didn't condone that bit, but I do condone players being able to enjoy themselves. I don't believe in them being robotic and having to sit at home and, you know, read books all night type thing. But with Rashford, man, you got to pick your moments. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, like you say, don't go down to the karaoke bar on Portland Street there after you've been walloped in a derby. You know you're going to bump into a lot of unhappy Reds. You know you're going to bump into a lot of happy Blues. You're just putting yourself in the limelight. And did you see Goldbridge spoke about it, and then Rashford replied to him, and then Rashford.
What did he say?
I'll try. No, I won't try to get it now. But they're beefing, him and Rashford. So Goldbridge, he might have said something. I don't want to misquote anybody, but Goldbridge said something about whether it was the night out or how bad he's playing now, and then Rashford, whether it was him or his PR team, I don't know, said something like, "Can you stop making up malicious rumors?" Replied directly to the United Stand on Twitter, "Stop making up malicious rumors." Now Goldbridge is in the money here because he's gone and made videos and clips. Rashford this and Rashford responded. My reaction to Marcus Rashford.
He knows what he's doing, man. He's not daft. You've got to give, as a businessman, you've got to take your hat off to Goldfish because he's got them all on strings. He has. Do you know what I mean? But listen, it's not the time, is it? You know what I mean? There's a lot of passionate Man United fans, Manchester ones as well, Salford lads, and that who are fuming. That don't get that vibe, you know what I mean? Last thing they want to see is him going, bloody hell, we've got beat again. Bloody hell, you want to smash him in, don't you? You know what I mean? Just because he's just the way he is. He is right, though, isn't it? That's why he's winding everyone up. Not because anyone's jealous of him, because just look at the guy. He wants filling in. But I'm just so glad.
We need a Big Steve versus Goldbridge Manchester debate. Or a
Mate, he put me on the big screen in Dublin on his live show because I called him a weapon. And he put me on live and said, what do you think of this? And they were all there, all them Irish Reds, all your mates going, United. Big Steve on the screen. And I was like, who's rattled here? I've called you a weapon, yeah? And you've got a full edited team to edit the clip and put it on your stage show in Ireland. So there's only one winner there. I beat him in it because, you know what I mean? He made me famous in Ireland, but...
We need to see the extra show in Ireland now and get you on the big screen there.
No, what it is with people like that, yeah? What it is with people like that, if you like people like that, watch him. If you don't. You know, I don't watch him. As soon as some people send me clips and go, Steve, check this guy out. And I just turn it off because I know it's going to wind me up because he's obviously trying to make dough off City, innit? You know what I mean? That's how they are. His biggest free clips on his channel involve City.
Yeah, I get that. I get he's making his content, but I thought you saw the thing with him and Saeed. I thought him firing shots at Saeed was bad, man. Because Saeed, you know Saeed, man, he's family to us at this stage. He is there.
Saeed is on the front line, week in, week out, getting dogs abuse in the rain outside the ground. He's been attacked off his own supporters. He's been racially abused off his own supporters. He's been bullied. I've been outside Old Trafford and seen him getting abuse. But I tell you what, the kid goes week in, week out, and he takes it because he loves Man United. He's got more of a spine and a backbone than him sat in his bedroom earning grands and grands. So he should be applauding Saeed, not ripping him apart. He should be applauding him. At least the kid has got the balls to stand outside Old Trafford when he'd been beat and say how it is. You might not agree with his opinions. You might think Saeed's a dickhead. That's great. But you've got to respect him for going week in and week out. Whether the shit or not, he turns up rain, sleet, or snow, he turns up. And that's why he's a good friend of mine and I respect him. But can't just Mark Goldbridge sat in your bedroom giving people like that, people that are spending his hard-earned money, supporting the club financially and emotionally, not taking a penny off him. Saeed's been offered shit off the club, never takes it. You know what I mean? So listen, I'm just glad us as City fans haven't got that shit because I can't deal with that. The day it gets like that is the day I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm the same. I like our community we have online. Like I said, I just thought it was a sour taste on Saeed because everything he said is right. Like, listen, when we beat them 3-0 last week, you remember it was chucking it down in Manchester that night after the game, and Saeed still stood outside Old Trafford and did a video for City Extra. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of guy he is. He's there. He'll rep Manchester United. He'll be there front line, as you say, home and away every week type thing. So I'll always support someone like that over someone like Goldbridge firing strays at him. But listen, enough about that shit show for now. It's just a bit of a funny conversation. Life is good at City, and as you say, we have Chelsea coming up next. Actually, hang on, I'll do a few of these super chats first, and then we'll go on to Chelsea. So we got Mohammed here with the 199. KDB through balls to Doku will be delicious. Steve kind of said that, didn't he? That
yeah,
when De Bruyne gets back, when De Bruyne gets back, we're going to go up a level for sure. Paratosh with the 29-month membership. Big up Paratosh, man. He says, I love Bernardo Silva, I assume he means. I love him for everything, including when he did not clap for Liverpool. Hopefully he stays one more season. I said this, man. He's a passionate City fan. I believe Bernardo Silva, and he loves it. MCFC, big up, says, do we think we get Paqueta next summer? Tell me. Any thoughts on that?
I do like him. I do. And I think there's something there, and I think we were close to getting him, but this betting scandal. But yeah, why not? I think he's technically good, and I think Pep would make him better. I think he'd be great in our team, to be honest.
I think he would too. I think, I don't know. Am I wrong with this in saying Pep might view Paqueta as the next transition from Bernardo Silva?
Maybe. Yeah, why not?
Big up MCFC. Edward with the 2. Big up Edward. Big up Hugh and Steve. Doku was on fire. Big up Edward, man. Spot on. Doku was the man over the weekend. And as we've already gone over, he's giving us a lot to be excited about and look forward to. Because as I said, I believe Doku's still got more to do, more to learn, more to grow into, and more to develop on. And who better than Pep Guardiola? Actually, I want to talk a bit on Pep now in a sec, Steve. I did a stream on him a few days ago. I want to get your thoughts. Akash with the 5. Big up Akash for the 5, man. A bit off topic, but did you see Szoboszlai calling Haaland a bit sick for his off-field stuff? Any cause for concern or nah? I'm not sure about this. Have you seen it?
No, what's that for?
Akash, I'm going to have to ask you to follow up on that, mate. Doesn't have to be a super chat. Stick it in the chat and I'll have a look. I've not seen Szoboszlai talking about Haaland. Maybe someone could tell us, but yeah, listen, big up to everybody for the super chats. If you want to fire Steve a message, send in a super chat. It's easier than the regular chat because that moves fast. But if you don't want to send a super chat, there's 450 in the building. Just smash a like on the stream. It really does help us. We're about 300 away from 84K. So it'd be sick to hit 84K sooner rather than later. And all of your support massively, massively helps. Steve, I said I was going to ask you about Pep Guardiola. There was rumors coming out last week. We did a stream, myself and Jordan, that he's going to extend. He's going to extend further. Obviously, he's contracted until 2025 as of right now. But there's people suggesting, journalists, not the more credible ones just yet, but it is bubbling that he's going to extend further. And my thought process was it makes sense. You see him bringing in Doku, Vardiol, you've got Foden, you've got Haaland, you've got Alvarez. These are all young guys. I think Pep's planning for the future. That's not to say he'll extend for a 5-year contract. I think he'll keep reviewing it and adding 1-2 years at a time.
No, listen, I've heard it the same. I've heard people say the same. I think he's so relaxed at the club, and like you say, that everything is made for him to succeed. I think he's enjoying it there, and I think he's just. The thing is with people like Pep, they've just got to keep that fire burning inside them. The problem sometimes you think when you've won everything and you've done everything, you natural winners, they want to go and do something else. They want to go and test themselves somewhere else, do something else. That's what people like Pep Guardiola get to. But I think he's got a few unfinished things. I think he'd like to win that Champions League again. This 4 in a row this season would be magical. Yeah, you can just see him extend. Listen, nobody wants to ever imagine him leaving. So we just keep our nut down and just hope he's okay. But listen, it'd be fantastic if he signed. God help the day when he doesn't and we're all in tears. But at the minute, don't even want to think about it. Just got to keep on rolling, mate.
I know you don't want to think about it, but I'm going to force you to think about it. Have
Mm.
have you thought about it, just purely hypothetically, what life after Pep Guardiola looks like?
I haven't, but the thing is, when people ask you the question and they say, "Who do you think?" If we say like now, you say, "Who do you think?" People are going to throw in De Zerbi, and people are going to throw in maybe Vincent Company. But in 12 months' time, you ask the same question. There'll be another manager that's on fire. There'll be another young manager up and coming. So it really is about timing. I think City will know in their head somebody they want, and I think it'll be a case of the manager coming in and continuing in the philosophy of what Pep and Tixie and that have put in the club, not somebody coming in and changing the whole style of football and we go again. I think it'll be someone who comes in, plays the Manchester City way, because believe it or not, we have got this way of playing football now. You know what I mean? It's our way of football. I think that we're going to be used to. And I just think City are so far ahead, they'll know. They'll start identifying people, they'll know. You know what I mean? Vincent Kompany, beginning of the season, everyone's talking about him. Now he's struggling. No one's talking about him. Do you know what I mean? Potter, Chelsea job, everyone raving about him, sacked. No one's talking about him. So I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when it comes, I think.
I think the thing with Pep is he'll realize now that, like, as you say, many managers, they want to go test themselves in other leagues or new challenges, but managers always want the best they can get for themselves. And you're not going to get anywhere better in terms of infrastructure, facilities, even things more cynical, wages. City will probably give him a blank check and say, "You put down the number you want, and we'll make it work," because that's how important he is. Basically, he's not going to get any better in terms of lifestyle and resources and what he has to work with than what he has at Manchester City. And I think he's smart enough to realize he's in the process of and getting close to being donned as the greatest manager, if not right now the greatest manager of all time. He's building a dynasty, an actual dynasty that is not just a purple patch in success in domestic football in England and now European football. He's now going to leave an imprint on the footballing world and footballing history if he keeps going the way he is. You always talk about this list, Steve, and I think it's so relevant to bring up. You know, the 100 points, the formidables can never be done. Domestic clean sweep can never be done. And back-to-back can never be done. You'll never do the treble. You'll never do 3 in a row. You'll never do a treble. Pep did it all in record timing. You look at the amount of time Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United for, nothing to discredit him about, but you look at how long he was there for and how spaced out all these amazing achievements were. Pep came in and did them all in 7 years. So
Yeah.
Pep's on track to really changing the history books and leaving a mad dynasty behind him. And there's still more to come. Like I said, I listed off 4 young signings, 4 young players. And he's already said he believes Musiala is the next best number 10 in the world. And we know he'd look to come. We know we'd want him to come to Manchester City. This is future proofing. This is long-term thinking of Pep Guardiola. And my thought process behind it is, it might be blinded by blue tinted glasses, but I think he knows that he could really, really leave something more special than what we already see now.
I think we missed out on Jude. I think Jude, everyone knew what was going to happen there with him. Real Madrid, we're not going to let that one go. They lost out to Mbappe, Haaland. They've got Jude. I think Musiala is up there, and I think Manchester City will be in the race for him. And you know, with Kevin De Bruyne getting a bit older, would someone like Musiala be the one to come in and say, look, Kevin's not going to be around in a couple of years. You need to shadow him, watch him, learn. We want you to be our number 10 for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? But we're already building for the future. You look at Doku, you look at Foden, you look at Haaland, you look at Alvarez, you look at Guardiola. You know, you look at these players. I mean, City's. I've had a message today off City. I'm doing a Julian Alvarez documentary.
You are?
Yeah, they're doing a documentary for City TV about Alvarez. They've asked me to do a bit about it. Apparently, it's about his life and that. And I think they're just going to have me talking about him. But Aguero's in it. I think Aguero's done stuff for it and stuff like that. So this Alvarez kid, you know, his first touch a few months ago was awful. And then you see in the derby, he brings it down middle of the park, first touch quality, sprays it out to the wing, creates one of the goals. I mean, you look at him now, and what he's adding to is, as a player, coming deep, laying the ball off, chasing round, winning tackles. He's not just that kid from Argentina that comes on as a sub and maybe gets a couple of goals late on. He's in the first team week in, week out now. He's linking up plays. He's just becoming a great footballer by being in this Manchester City team. And I don't think there's many players that come to this football club now that don't improve. You know, when you sign them, you look at Jeremy, first couple of games, his first touch, West Ham away, cost us a goal. Do you know what I mean? The game after that, Wolves didn't track back. We got caught out. Nathan Ake caught out. He didn't track back. You look at Jeremy now, he's different already. You know what I mean? He's getting back. He knows. He's learning. And I just think City are so good at identifying young talent. And this club is in such safe hands that I get people panicking all the time. You know, we lost Gunder when we're going to do this. Why didn't we sign him? We didn't do this. We're going to get relegated. You know, people panic like fuck. There's no need to panic, man, with this ownership and this structure. You know, you look at the kids coming through. Nico Riley or whatever just signed a contract again. He's 18. I watched him at Charlie pre-season. The kid was head and shoulders above everyone on the park. First touch was always in front of him. Second touch was positive all the time. And I said to my dad, I went, he's going to be some player, him. And I spoke to him a couple of times on Instagram, and the fact City's given him a 5-year contract now, he's going to be in there next couple of years. He'll be in the first team, I'm telling you now. So the future looks bright, man. We are lucky and fortunate that what's going on at the club at the minute.
Yeah, the talent ID and the recruitment is sensational. And you're right, most players do improve. I had a look at on YouTube when I saw the news about Nico O'Reilly. I've been tracking him for a little while. I looked at his skills and high definition compilations and all that. I put it on Twitter. He scored a fucking scorpion kick in there. Like he's a finisher as well as a technically gifted player. But even when you talk about players like Nico O'Reilly, even if he doesn't make the grade, as we always say, City will sell him on for 15, 20 million. And that's just the part of the model and the nature of our club, which makes the whole thing work. But yeah, it all kind of comes down to crediting the people who run this ship. You know what I mean? Your Khaldoons, your Tikis, Omars and Farhans and Pep Guardiola too, who has a massive influence on it. So yeah, we have the right as fans to be more calm than other ones. You know what I mean? We don't have to worry as much about new signings coming in and will they make the grade, because there's obviously always a reason why City bought the player. But yeah, I got another super chat coming in here from Huang, big old Huang with the £10, man. It says Doku was sensational. I was concerned about his lack of end product when he arrived, but it looks Pep has got him to sharpen his decision making. If he maintains consistency throughout the season, I don't know. Did you want to follow up on that? But yeah,
no, yeah, I think he's very, very raw. He's been put in a best team in the world for me. He's adding a different string to the bow. And listen, let's just let him just cook, let him marinate, let him do what he needs to do. Let's just enjoy him. There's going to be games where he's going to frustrate the fucking shit out of us. You know that. He'll be cutting in on the left, shooting over the bar. There's going to be games where he's going to be like that, but there's going to be games like at weekend where he's unplayable. And I'd rather have him playing for us than against us. Let's put it that way.
He's frightening, man. I was watching. What was I watching? I was watching DO Sports. Matisse and them were chatting about who's the most informed winger in the Premier League right now. I think other than Salah, you have to say it's Jeremy Doku, wouldn't you?
Do you want me to tell you the story? There's a mate of mine. He's a big City fan and he's a scout for Sunderland. Yeah, and he scouted Doku about 4 years ago for Sunderland, and he went in and he said, "You need to sign this player, Jeremy Doku, 4 mil," and they turned it down, and they never signed him. Sunderland never signed him, and he's telling me last week at my mate's funeral that he put Sunderland onto him, and they turned it down, said he wasn't the right fit. I think they signed someone fucking random. He was telling me as well, but it just shows you, man, in football, these little things, you haven't got insight, but yeah, Sunderland could have had him and probably could have sold him 50 odd million or something. You know what I mean?
I love those stories. I'm reading a book that came out, I think recently, by a Norwegian journalist about Haaland. It's about Haaland's life story. You might have seen the book or you might have it. I got it the other day. I'm about 100 pages in now. And just one bit struck me. I kind of knew about it, but I didn't know the ins and outs of it, that 6 months before Ollie became manager of United, he was still at Molde, and he was trying to push Haaland to Man United. And they went to United. They said, you can have this Norwegian superstar for €4 million. So you're looking at about £3.2 million for what would have been an 17 or 18-year-old Erling Haaland before he went to Salzburg. They said, nah. They said we don't want him. Same with Alvarez as well, a couple of years later.
No, well, it was same with Everton. Everton was offered the chance to sign Haaland as well, I believe, but they never did. There's a load of them mad stories. I mean, was it Paulo Wanchop? I remember being on Paulo Wanchop being on trial at somewhere QPR, never signed him. Went to Derby the week after, scored that goal at Old Trafford. There was loads of mad ones. Yaya Toure was on trial at Arsenal, never signed him. So there's loads of them stories back in the day where you think...
Ryan Giggs, Manchester City.
Yeah, well, he was ours, wasn't it? But they just took him. But, you know, it is what I think they took a few of our players, to be fair. But, no, it's good. I like them stories myself, them ones where they talk about... And when ex-players come out and they talk about, or ex-managers, nearly signed such a thing. And all. Man City nearly signed Figo, mate. Do you know that?
No.
You know that? I'm
No.
telling you now, Man City fans of my age, do you remember when we was linked with Luis Figo? I'm telling you now, Luis Figo, we were trying to get Luis Figo. I'm telling you now, he was all over the papers. He was a young kid. We were trying to get him. That is a true story. Any Man City fans, old City fans, dig out the papers when Man City was going to get Figo before he went to any of the big boys. I'm telling you, it's true. Luis Figo, man. You know, we had Pep Guardiola on trial as well. And Stuart Pearce turned him down. He was on trial. Pep Guardiola was on trial at Manchester City. He was training with us and everything. And Stuart Pearce turned him down as a player. That is a fact. That is a fact.
Was this while he was at Barcelona?
After Barcelona, he ended up going to Brescia, I think, in Italy. After that, he was on trial at City, and he wanted to sign for City. Pearce wanted to give him a week's trial, and basically Guardiola must have thought, you're taking the piss, man. A week's trial. He's fucking City with his shit, and he fucked off. But he was here, 1,000,000%. He was here.
Imagine how the landscape would have changed. The whole thing would be different if Pep came back to City as a manager, former player. That would have been something different, man. But yeah, I do love the Figo one's crazy. Imagine Figo playing a main role.
Man, I swear to God, Figo, when we were back in the day, I'm telling you now, Figo, he was there. And remember Georgie Hadji?
Yeah.
Well, Alan Ball was mates with Georgie Hadji, yeah? And we got offered Georgie Hadji on loan or something at fucking City. And that didn't come off because we were shit. You know what I mean? We were crap and we didn't have no dough. But there was always random stuff like that. Do you ever remember Club Call? You would have been too young for Club Call. Do you used to have these things, Club Call, and it used to say, Italian maestro signs for the Blues. And then it have a phone number, yeah? So you'd bell the phone number at the end there. It'd be like £4 a minute. And then it'd go like, din, 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 din. So you'd have a minute of tunes. That'd cost you £4, Nico. Then it'd go, welcome, Manchester City supporters, to your Club Call. We have got some exciting news for you. You're £12 deep here now. Yeah, £12 deep. And then it'd go, Manchester City have been linked with Italian midfielder Pepe Giuseppe Jazziola. The Blues could strike a deal for the Summit man for £12 million. Thanks for calling Club Call. Cost you £18 to be linked with somebody that didn't even exist. And Manchester Evening News admitted years ago they just used to make it up to get dough. And fucking I used to ring it all the time and get grounded for spending £18 on it. I swear to God, mate, it's true.
So you're paying money to get transfer news?
Yeah, because you'd ring Club Call, there's no internet, and then we're listening to like a pre-recorded message, but it's like £4 a minute, but they drag it out and tell you stuff like Greek superstar signs for City, and it'd be someone like Georgios Donis. I don't know if you remember him. He was supposed to be brilliant. He was shit. And it cost you like £20. And my dad would get the phone bill, the BT bill, and it'd say Club Call, and it'd just be going, Stephen, are you even fucking ringing that Club Call again? I'd be like, oh shit. But you know, when you're a kid and that, and you're proper like excited because it said Italian superstar. And it's like, fucking Club Call's got a lot to answer for, man, back in the day, I tell you.
Club Call made a fortune by the sounds of it.
Couldn't go online and just type it in now. It's like Club Call was the one, man, back in the day. But yeah, it was mad. It's
like an extreme super chat to get some news. It's crazy. I see Martin in the chat there saying he remembers Club Call £1.95 a minute or whatever it was.
Yeah, he will do, mate. It used to it'd list all the clubs, City, United, and it'd have City, Italian superstar signed, United, major injury concern, and it'd have all these things. And then because you was like, you love the club, you'd fucking get the blower on and listen to it.
There you go, people, man. Club call. Speaking of Martin, he says, "Evening, lads. Hazard was at City and asked for more money, and we tried for Stefan Effenberg back in the day." Hazard.
I've never heard about the Hazard one. I know we did try for Stefan Effenberg. I remember that. Stefan Effenberg.
Jesus, we could have had some Galactico teams at some point, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, obviously we signed George Weir and that, didn't we? That was fucking crazy them days. But we queued
Imagine
up.
you had Figo playing with Niall Quinn.
Mate, George Weir, yeah. George Weir, his debut was against Stockport County on a pre-season friendly at Edgeley Park, and we got beat 3-1. And George Weir scored. He must have thought, "What the fuck am I doing at Edgeley Park playing for Manchester City?" And here's another mad one for you, yeah. Niall Quinn, we were that skint years ago. Niall Quinn was mint, yeah, he was a great striker. We agreed to sell Niall Quinn to a Malaysian team, yeah. This is true, right? Middle of the season, Niall Quinn went out to Malaysia, yeah, while the season was still on, played in the Malaysian Cup final for this team while he still was our player, scored, won the cup, and then pulled out the deal and came back to City. That's true.
What? That's crazy. That's crazy.
And he rang Franny Lee and said, "They want me to play. I'm not insured, blah, 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 blah." And he played. Trust me, that happened. People think that Man City wasn't always a well-run club. You could just do what the fuck you wanted, mate. Do you know what I mean?
We could honestly do Big Steve shows just on the funny stories over the years, because I'm too young to know them or been there for them, so I just like listen to them and they're funny as fuck. But
it was just my days, mate. Like Jerry Creaner, you heard of Jerry Creaner, yeah? Absolute dog shit of a player. And we swapped him for Paul Walsh and cash. Now, that is like swapping. Right, let me just think what that is like now. That is like swapping Erling Haaland and cash for Neil Maupay. That is what that would happen now. Can you imagine how fuming you would be with that, yeah? Manchester City have swapped Haaland and cash for Neil Maupay. Well, that's what happened with City. They swapped fucking Paul Walsh and cash for Jerry Creaner. Jerry Creaner had a bigger belly than me, yeah? And he was terrible. And that was just, City were just like that. Every time we got something good, we'd fucking just fuck it up. We would. Just the way it was. I'm telling you, mate.
I love it. Here's Martin again. Big up Martin with the super chat, by the way. Funny story. Got way at 22 on my shirt. He left 5 weeks later and had to get done on the back with the outline still away at whoops. P.S. Isco coming. Yeah. That's a good story as well, Steve.
Fucking Joe Royal telling George Weir to fucking run more or something like that. It just makes me laugh. World Player of the Year, John. But the City, we had Paul Dickov running around chasing crisp packets, and the City fans were like, "Yes, Paul Dickov." And then George Weir, ball get knocked 60 yards over the top. George Weir, World Player of the Year thing. I ain't chasing that. I ain't getting that. Because obviously he's class, so he knows he ain't getting it. City fans be booing him. Fucking a lazy bastard, George Weir, lazy bastard. Like, that's the level of fans we was at the time. We just didn't know how good George was. But yeah, man, they were the days, man. They were the days. Barry Conlon was worse. Jesus Christ. Barry Conlon, never in a million years. You're lucky, that you never had to experience Barry Conlon. He came on as a sub, and nobody knew who he was. So we just got the end of somebody said he was called Barry. So the Kipaks just started singing Barry, Barry, Barry. And that was his song, Barry Conlon. He was about 21. He was 21, and he was balder than me. And he was absolute dog shit. And then we signed, Alan Ball signed Martin Buster Phillips. And he said he'd be the first £10 million player. And we were all buzzing our spuds off thinking, fucking hell, we've signed a fucking... Oh, mate, it was terrible. I don't even want to talk about it. Google Martin Buster Phillips. I swear to God. He hit the post on his debut, and that was it. But I tell you what, they used to sell us... I reckon someone in the evening news was just buzzing thinking, these City fans will take anything, just write it down. Fuck it. It was bad.
There's your homework, chat, man. You're gonna have to go and look up some of these players.
And Lee Bradbury, someone just mentioned Lee Bradbury. Lee Bradbury made his debut at Burnley in a friendly. I went to it. After 12 minutes, he scored a hat-trick. We thought we had signed the next R9. And then
the original Haaland.
Then they called him Lee Badby. They took the R's out of his name. And then Lee Badby. He was fucking terrible. He was terrible. He was an ex-soldier. Paid £3 million from Portsmouth for him. He was terrible. Shit.
What a football club, man. What a fucking football club this is. You know that? And then you compare it to life now.
We swapped David White for David Rocastle. Rocastle was class. We ended up getting rid of Rocastle.
I've heard of Rocastle.
We're the only team. We overpaid for Steve McMahon. We paid about $2.5 million for Steve McMahon, who was well past it. But, you know, we signed Nigel Clough when nobody wanted Nigel Clough from Liverpool. They were the days, man. They were the days. We went for Anders Limpar on deadline day and ended up with Peter Beagre because Everton went and stole Limpar, so we went and got Beagre. But yeah, we signed every Georgian fucking ballet dancer in the world just because they sounded like King Clancy. We just went and signed them all. They were shit. We signed a striker from Argentina called Mateus Vicente Vioso. Yeah, Google him. His goal scoring record in Argentina and Mexico is second to none. I went to watch City train at Platt Lane. They had a training drill. Every time you had a shot, if you got it on target, you went to the back of the queue. If you put it over the bar, you had to do 10 press-ups. This bastard Vioso spent an hour and a half doing press-ups. Every single shot went over the bar, went in the woods, went in the forest. Vincenzo Mateus Vioso. I tell you, you're lucky, you guys, that you don't have to watch these shower of shit.
It's important to look back though and remember, isn't it? It's important to remember. There's some fucking good stories there.
And Maurizio Gaudino, who was getting done in Germany for ringing cars. He was under investigation. We signed him. He was absolutely head and shoulders above anyone we ever had. He was fucking mint. And he used to have T-shirts outside the ground that said Maurizio Gaudino, sponsored by Audi, Peugeot, Mercedes, Land Rover, because he was ringing cars over in Germany. He was getting nicked. So he got him out of there. But he was brilliant, Gaudino. But we couldn't afford him, man. I tell you.
But,
and
listen.
One more. We signed Daniel Van Buiten, who was absolutely fucking outstanding centre-back from Belgium, who played for Bayern Munich, and we couldn't believe we'd signed him, and we couldn't afford him. And he ended up going back to Bayern Munich, and the rest is history. Daniel Van Buiten, what a monster, man. What a monster he was. Gutted, man.
I'm sure some of our older viewers here are sitting here smiling, remembering these players and these stories you're talking about, because they are funny as fuck. Like I said, it could be a show on its own, that kind of thing.
Me and the Mancunian Way are going to do one, like a main road vibe, and we're going to pick a few games and talk about it and that, and get everyone educated, because I tell you what, the City that you're watching now, compared to the ones we used to watch, was like, they used to suck you in, man, and then hurt you. It was bad, man. City was bad for that, but that's why we're so hooked on this club, because of the mad shit that went on back in the day. You couldn't help but just look and think, fuck it, it is what it is. We love them because they're mad. You know what I mean? That's just City, man.
Absolutely. Listen, there's still 450 in the building. Big up everyone for the super chat. Smash a like if you would, have massively helps, and subscribe if you're new around here. About 300 off 84k. We'll just wrap it up quickly with a small thought. Just looking forward to Chelsea, because I won't see you again till after. They're due to play at 8 o'clock tonight, of course. We'll get a look at them there, but Pochettino has them kind of playing. Cole Palmer's seems to be the main man down there. How are you feeling going into that one?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat. They're coming out with some scary people now. It's giving me nightmares. But why not? I'm interested to watch it. I'm going to have a bath now, chill out. I'm going to watch the game.
You're a bath kind of guy, yeah?
Say again?
You're a bath kind of guy, are you?
To be honest, no, but I've had this fucking daft kidney infection, so it eases it up when I sit in a bath. Been on a 10-day antibiotics. Still bad. Still soldiering on, but so when you get in the old bath, it soaks it up a bit. But I fancy Tottenham. I think Tottenham are playing well. They've still got that bounce about them. They're on a bit of a roll. Chelsea, I think, are still struggling confidence-wise. I think Chelsea are in a lot better shape than what people think. looking at the young players they've got, and that it's only a matter of time before he starts getting a tune out of some of them. But I just hope they're still in disarray at weekend. I hope we can get there, get the points. I hate Stamford Bridge, man. I've always hated Stamford Bridge. Don't know why. I just never liked it. Just like to get in, get the points, and fuck off. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think as well, it's the last game before an international break, I believe. So, I want to go out with a bit of a bang. But I think if Tottenham don't win tonight, we stay top of the league, don't we?
Yeah.
So go to Stamford Bridge, get a win there, go into the international break top of the league. Different to the last international break. Remember, we just lost to Arsenal. And it's funny how football works, man. It's funny how the world changes. You know what I mean? One international break, you had that lot from North London celebrating like they won the league. The next international break, we're back on top. But is there anything else you wanna add to the show, Steve, before we wrap it up? We've just hit the hour mark.
No, I think we're all right. Listen, good win by the Blues at weekend, 6-1, following on the back from Old Trafford and Young Boys. Let's go out there tomorrow again. I know it's cold and wet and damp and shit, but we've got to make sure we get the boys over the line in this Champions League again, get behind them and just get that rhythm early. Sick of going late into the season and having to do these late pushes. We want to get a bit of rhythm early doors, get a bit of a gap. You know what I mean? Other teams are falling down. We've got some tough games coming up and looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it too. Steve will be back here on City Extra as always next Monday, hopefully after a win against Chelsea down at Stamford Bridge. Still over 400 people in the building. Absolutely fantastic numbers tonight. Yeah, I'm on the Big Six tonight, by the way. Hecky at 11 p.m. because of this Tottenham-Chelsea game. But yeah, listen, to everybody still here, if you haven't done so, please smash a like on this stream. It really, really does help. I'd love to hit 84K ASAP, and we're about 300 away last time I checked. Do go over to Big Steve's channel at Big Steve MCFC. Show him support. He's making previews and reviews over there. We always like to show support to our great guests, even though Steve's part of the family here as well. He'll be back next Monday, like I said. And listen, we'll see you all next Monday. Come on, City, man. In a bit.